Welcome to the Explainer. He's a warrior who battles dragons, a judge who weighs souls, and a guardian to millions. Today we're going to deconstruct the many faces of the Archangel Michael to really understand how one celestial being became such a powerful symbol across so many cultures. Let's get right into it.
You know, it all really starts with his name. In Hebrew, Michael is actually a question. Who is like God? But it's not a question that's looking for an answer. It's a challenge, a declaration, that basically sets the stage for his entire role as the ultimate symbol of divine power.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll explore 5 key parts of his identity: his rank up in the heavens, his famous role as a warrior, his job as a judge of souls, his appearance across different religions, and finally, his legacy today.
Okay, so first up, where does Michael actually fit into the whole celestial chain of command? I mean, we call him a leader, but it's a little more complicated than that.
The title Archangel itself gives us a clue. It comes from the Greek for chief angel. So right away, you know we're talking about a position of serious authority. He's not just another angel, he's a commander, a prince in the heavenly court.
What's really fascinating is that theologians have argued about his exact rank for centuries. Back in the 6th century, thinkers just kind of placed him within the general hierarchy. But fast forward to the 13th century, and scholars like Bonaventure have promoted him all the way up to Prince of the Seraphim. That's the highest possible rank, the ones closest to God. And this high status isn't new. It goes way back to early Jewish traditions, where his job description was already pretty stacked. He was the chief of angels, the guardian and advocate for Israel, and even the high priest in heaven, whose whole job was to go toe-to-toe with Satan.
So with a rank that high, it makes perfect sense that he would take on his most famous role, the divine warrior, the guy in charge of God's army in the ultimate fight against evil.
This line from the book of Revelation, "This is the moment." This is what cements Michael in our collective imagination as the supreme commander, the one who leads the charge and literally throws Satan out of heaven.
But how this specific image became so famous? Well, that story has a pretty interesting political twist. The Bible gave us the story, sure, but it was actually a Roman emperor in the 4th century who made it go viral, so to speak.
So get this. After defeating his rival, Licinius, Emperor Constantine decided to paint a picture of himself slaying Licinius, who he depicted as a serpent. He basically hijacked the imagery of Michael's celestial battle for his own political propaganda, and it worked. The image stuck, and pretty soon art was showing the Archangel himself in that role, defining how we'd see him for the next 2,000 years.
And artists just ran with this theme. I mean, look at the difference here. You've got Raphael's version, which is pure Renaissance classicism. It's calm, it's controlled, totally poised. Then you have Tintoretto, and his painting is just pure chaos and energy, this dramatic, intense rush of action with a long lance slashing right through the middle of the scene.
But Michael's job isn't just about fighting. Nope. Beyond the battlefield, he has another, maybe even more profound responsibility. He's not just a soldier, he's a judge.
He also plays this incredibly crucial and frankly, much more personal role in what happens to every single one of us after we die.
So in the second major role, Michael makes a huge shift from soldier to what's called a psychopomp, a guide of souls. In a lot of Christian traditions, he's the one who literally meets you, takes your soul to the afterlife, and presents you for judgment.
So you end up with this split in all the art and symbolism about him. On one hand, you've got the warrior, with the sword, the shield, and the defeated dragon at his feet. But on the other hand, you have the judge, and his symbol is that perfectly balanced set of scales, ready to weigh the good and bad deeds of a person's life.
Now, a figure this powerful was never going to be contained to just one faith. Michael's presence is felt across all 3 of the major Abrahamic religions, even if his job title changes a bit depending on who you ask.
And this is where it gets really interesting. In Judaism, he's the defender of Israel. In Christianity, he's the top general. But in Islam, as Michael, he becomes this angel of mercy, responsible for things like rain and making sure the world keeps running.
And his influence doesn't even stop there. Here's a cool connection. His whole archetype of balance, with the scales, was also adopted by groups like the Freemasons, where he came to represent equilibrium and even the autumn equinox.
All right, so finally, let's bring it all into the present day and look at how this ancient figure is still a huge deal, especially as a patron saint. I mean, just look at this list. It's kind of wild. His roles as a protector and a fair judge have made him the patron for an incredibly diverse group. Police and soldiers, that makes total sense. But grocers, bankers, and also the sick and dying, They're all looking for his protection and a sense of justice. Entire countries and major cities, from Kiev to Rome, consider him their guardian.
So, in the end, whether you see him as a warrior fighting a dragon, a judge holding those scales, or a guardian watching over you, the figure of Michael is really kind of a mirror. He reflects humanity's own struggle between right and wrong. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does that cosmic battle look like in our own lives today?